Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where everybody else is in the world today. Welcome to the first episode of the Wealthy Mindset podcast as part of the Itinerant Mage channel. Today, I have my wonderful producer who's just joined the team as my co host and guest. Now, we're going to do just a little bit of an intro. So, first of all, as I mentioned, this is my lovely co host, Michaela. Michaela hails from Cape Town in South Africa. Michaela, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I'm 19. I've recently started working for you, obviously, your producer. Um, Grew up in Cape Town, South Africa. So far, enjoying life to the fullest capacity. And yeah, excited to be on the podcast today.
Fantastic. And that is literally the spirit that we want to embody here on this channel in all the podcasts, because that's what it's all about. It's just having fun with everything we do, whether it's physical, mental, financial, career wise, just everything should be enjoyable. It should be good to feel good. So, in line with that, this particular podcast is going to be all about the wealthy mindset and how you can be the best version of yourself moving forward in pretty much everything to do with wealth building, right? So, one of the things that really got me when I was younger, I remember having a conversation with my father. I was about 16 or 17, I think, and we were talking about the fact that I was finishing school in a year and whether I was going to go to university or college or what I was going to do. And I remember like looking at all the courses. I'm like, Dad, I just don't know what to do. And he laid out a few suggestions, and the one was, "Oh, you should be a lawyer." He says, "You love debating things. You've got a good analytical mind when it comes to doing research. You would make an exceptional lawyer." And I looked at him with incredulity in my face and just went, "You've got to be kidding, right? Like, there is no way in hell that I am going to spend 5 years studying to be a lawyer and then another 5 years stuck in a basement of some law office doing research for the senior partners." Because I said to him, I'm like, "Dad, the stuff you see on TV, those are the senior partners who get to do the fun stuff standing in court.
Yeah,
Everybody else is working, doing research." I'm like, "That is not me for the first 10 years of my working life. Like, I'm just not doing it. I've spent 12 years of my life doing something I despised, which was school. I hated school with a
me too.
passion." Thank you. Right. Actually, why did you hate school? And then I'll go as to why I hated it.
Oh, I felt like I was wasting so much time doing things that didn't actually matter, that I never truly learned from. I was literally I was writing tests not to learn, but to pass. And there was a lot of stress. You're stuck in a classroom with people that you don't like, um, that you're forced to be with for basically 5 years, if you're talking about high school. And it felt like a waste of time, and like I was losing brain cells, to be honest. Like the more I was at school, the dumber I felt.
Absolutely. I have had the exact same experience. For me, it was a constant battle with my teachers because I was just saying, guys, you're not teaching us anything that we need to know. Like, I need to know how to do my taxes. I need to know how to balance a budget. I need to know entrepreneurial skills. You know, I don't need to be doing conjugation of verbs in grade 10. Like, I just don't. Like, how is that ever going to help me, right? Okay, to be fair, it has helped me slightly in the past couple of years because I've started doing copywriting and that sort of thing. So English class actually did stand me in good stead, but the rest was just an absolute nightmare. The nice thing about it was because I didn't enjoy it, I would just get through everything, not caring about what mark I got in as long as I passed. That's all I cared about.
Same here.
And what I would then do with all my spare time was research topics that I actually enjoyed. And as a result, like people often will say to me, like, did you go to varsity? Did you do this? Like, because you're so knowledgeable in so many different things. And I say, no, I had a voracious appetite for knowledge and wisdom. That was what kind of drove me. But coming back to the discussion I was having with my father, I remember then saying to me, Dad, work makes up such a huge part of your life, right? Because you're sleeping 8 hours a day, then you're at work for 9 hours of your day. You're working 8 hours, you're at work for nine, and then you're probably doing an hour commute each way. So you're spending 11 hours, 5 days a week, doing something that you may not necessarily enjoy, and then you're sleeping for 8 hours. You have this tiny little gap where you get to do something that you actually like, but you're so tired that you end up just collapsing on the couch watching TV, right?
100%.
And you don't feel a sense of fulfillment because you're just doing it to pay the bills. You're chasing the weekend. So the moment the clock strikes 5 on a Friday afternoon, you're out that door. You are numbing the pain. You're pouring alcohol or drugs, and no judgment on either or, right? But you're doing all these things to just feel something that feels a little bit better than the mind numbing drudgery you've been through for the entire week. And his response was, yes, but that's just life. And I remember looking at him and going, but surely it doesn't have to be. Like, why is everybody just accepting that that is just life? Like, why are we, going down this whole rabbit hole of this is just how things are and therefore we're going to do it?
Yeah.
And then I bounced around from job to job and I did different things, most of which I enjoyed, some I did not. And I remember eventually getting to speak to a mentor of mine. And we were talking about the fact that I really wanted to follow my passion, but I didn't know what that was. Oh, actually, that funny enough, I remember at the same time when I was having that chat with my father, I was kind of very stuck on the idea of becoming a chef. That was my passion. I still love cooking. It's how I de-stress. It's how I express my artistic flair. It's a part of who I am.
Yeah.
Interned for one summer with two chefs in their restaurant and realized that not a flying fuck could I do that. It's way too much. And within probably a year, I would lose my passion for cooking. So when I spoke to this boss slash mentor of mine about that exact experience, I said, how do you kind of balance the two? And she said to me, Stefan, the interesting thing is that for most people, yes, when they try to take their passion and make it into a business, it doesn't really work out because they lose, it becomes a job, it becomes something that they have to do, right? And then you lose your spark, you lose your creativity, all the joy goes out of it. And suddenly you're like, nothing is working. And actually, I had another client of mine recently saying, I loved this when I started it, but now I hate it. And it's because I'm not making money. I'm like, no, no, no. You're not making money because you hate it. Difference.
Yeah.
And you hate it because you lost your passion, you lost your spark, and you got sucked into the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Which actually brings me to the final point that my mentor was tried very hard to make to me, but my 24-year-old brain just could not compute it at all. She was trying to say, well, actually, her husband, funny enough, was the one who hit the nail on the head, because I've never met someone in my life who literally every single day, even when he's stressed out to the max, just loves his work. He's up until 3 a.m. in the morning working on stuff for his business, and then he'll be up again by like 7, 8 a.m. in the morning again to start the day. And I'm like, how are you
Wow.
living on so little sleep? He's like, because I'm energized by what I'm doing. So I asked him, I said, why are you always energized and the rest of us are like stressed out, we're dying, we're like, desperately just wanting the day to end, and you're still going. And he goes, oh, that's easy because I don't do anything I don't want to do. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, Stefan, I don't enjoy doing sales. So that's why I hired a sales team and a sales manager. He's like, I don't enjoy doing accounts. So that's why I hired an accountant. She sits there and she just does the books all day. We literally just hand in our receipts and she does it. I don't want to know. At the end of the month, she just goes, this is how much you owe tax people. This is how much you owe here. Pay this, pay that. Off you go. I never have to worry about it because I hate doing it. I don't want to know about it. I just want to do what I love doing. So I'm like, okay, what do you love doing? He's like, I love creating. I love creating ads and I love creating content for my business. That is what I love doing. So I refuse flatly to do anything else. He's like, my wife, on the other hand, is a really good manager. She loves managing people. She loves, making sure that systems and processes and all of that are in place. That is her passion. That's where she excels. So I make her do that. He's like, but at the same time, the two of us realized that the one couldn't survive in business without the other. She's not creative enough to come up with new ways to sell their products. And he has zero interest in the processes that are needed to take his ideas and make them factual, right? It's the same old adage of engineers versus artists. Artists are the ones who come up with the idea of a laptop or a PC or, like in Steve Jobs' case, a really beautiful looking computer or an iPad or an iPod. Engineers are the ones who go, okay, I understand the concept. Now let me go and figure out how to do it. You ask an engineer to come up with a new product, it'll never work. You'll never get something beautiful. You get something that works and does the job, yes, but dear God, it's going to look like crap and nobody will want to use it.
Yeah.
Just the nature of the game, right? I say all of that because, again, it comes back to just having fun. Literally, if we just start to enjoy what we're doing and give away the things that we don't like to do, then suddenly everything starts to become easier for us to do. So, okay, I'm not sure, Michaela, either I can share your experience over the last 2 months of working for me, or I can share the experience from my perspective, or we can do both. Which would you prefer as to how you got to being the producer for the Itinerant Mage and all the social media that we're going to be doing?
You are welcome to share the story of the last 2 months and getting to where we are now and just being
Okay.
able to have fun.
Alrighty, I will share the story a little bit, and please feel free to jump in and just be like, "No, Stefan, that's not how it happened," or share the pieces that I'm missing. But
Yeah, of course.
basically, when I asked you to come on board, I'll be perfectly honest. I had a vague idea as to what I needed. I knew I needed help because there were too many things that I did not like doing, but that I had no idea where to even start with finding someone. So I thought, well, let's just get somebody on board and see where they kind of fit in. And that was when I thought of Michaela, and I reached out to you and I said, I've got something that we can try for you to do in the business. And I remember the first probably 4 weeks or so were so up in the air, mainly because I didn't know what direction the business needed to take.
Yeah.
And I was just trying out new things and trying to see where I really needed help and what was going on. But I trusted the universe that my intuition and general guidance would push me to the place that I needed to go, which happened within the first 4 weeks. But in
Yeah.
that time as well, as I was giving you tasks to do, you and I both could see where there were things that you enjoyed doing and there were things that you just absolutely hated doing.
Yeah.
And I was looking at this and going, okay. And eventually we were starting to like narrow it down to what you could actually do. Oh, sorry, not only what you could do and excel at, but that you enjoy doing. Because
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that I think I mentioned to you as well that you actually excel at doing, but that you hate doing. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to make you do that because you're going to resent it. And in 2 to 3 months' time, you're going to be like, cheers, I'm going to find something else to do. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Um,
especially me as a person, like if I don't enjoy something, I almost know instantly and I'm out of there. Like I had a job offer, I went for one day, hated it, said, cheers, never seen you again. The money's great, but I would rather be broke and enjoy something than earn good money and absolutely hate it. And it was only even once a week. Like if I don't like something, I'm not going to do it.
no. And that's the thing. Like, why force yourself into a space where you have to grind? And I actually want to talk about that for a second before I come back to our story. We have glorified the grind, the hustle, right? The whole
Exactly.
getting up at 5 a.m. and working through until midnight. We've glorified the idea of putting your shoulder to the grindstone, right? That's actually where the saying the grind comes from. We've glorified the idea that it takes a lot of hard work to get somewhere. Now, I'm not debating that. That is fact. you can't get something without putting work in, and oftentimes a lot of hard work as well, right? That has to
Yeah,
happen. But I can guarantee you that hard work will not seem like hard work if it's fun.
precisely.
And that is something that I've come to see and realize, because the more, I mean, everybody knows this, right? We know the saying, time flies when you're having fun. How often haven't you sat down at a restaurant or a bar or a pub or a club or whatever, and you look at your watch and it's 8 p.m. You swear to God you had one conversation and one drink chatting to one person, and you look again and it's 11:30 p.m. And you're like, how did I just lose 3.5 hours? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. You're like, I'm not
Exactly.
inebriated. I but you're just having such a good time that time literally just flies.
Yeah.
When you're bored or when something is difficult and you're not enjoying it, you will sit and stare at your computer screen for
Yeah.
hours on end and get nowhere, right? Absolutely nowhere. So coming back to our story, right, is when I started to see where Michaela's strengths actually lay, the beautiful alchemy that occurred was, as that realization hit me, that energy then transferred into what direction my business needs to be taking. Because literally, I looked at it and I went, okay, so this is Michaela's strength, which is as a producer. I could see that a mile away. Like the moment I saw it happening, I was like, oh my God, she's ridiculously good at this. Like just you're born talent at it.
Thank
And
you.
and I was like, okay, so what is the universe trying to tell me by bringing this energy into my flow? And I was like, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff around social media and these podcasts and everything else that I don't enjoy doing, which is why I haven't been churning out content the way all my friends, all my colleagues, my clients, everybody keeps saying, Stefan, please, we want to see more. We want to see. And I'm just like, no. Well, not no. I'm just like, eh, eh,
Yeah.
really want to, because I know in my head, there's banners that need to be created. There's social media posts that need to be created. There's all this editing that needs to happen. There's just so much that needs to happen around the business that I just do not feel like doing, and I have no interest in learning how to do either. And suddenly I was like, that's where it is. So all my clients, all my friends are saying I need to be turning out content. I know from myself that I was wanting to stop working one-on-one with clients, but I still wanted to have a massive impact on people in general. And here the universe is providing me someone who is abjectly good at the parts that I don't like around content creation.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's fun for me to do these podcasts because literally I just have to pitch up and talk, which in case y'all haven't realized, you love to talk. So there's that. Um, so that then brings us to a question that Michaela asked me today, combined with what I'd like to talk about in terms of what these podcasts are going to entail moving forward. So, the Wealthy Mindset podcast is very much going to be, as I said at the outset, around how to create wealth for yourself by removing obstacles and blockages that stand in your way. It's also going to be a lot around how to create multiple streams of income, including, but not limited to, passive income, which is really, really important. I am on a passive income journey at the moment where I just said to Michaela now, by the end of August, my passive income on its own will be able to cover all my basic expenses, literally staff salaries, tools for my business, rent, food, and a little bit of going out money as well. My day job, which is not this yet, but my day job will obviously just be extra money that I can use for whatever the heck I want to, right?
Which is incredible.
Which is, yeah, that is, it's really, really nice. So I can use that to invest and grow my passive income and really blow that up. Now, I say that because part of this podcast is going to be having guests on who talk about entrepreneurship, their own entrepreneurship journeys, the services that they offer to other entrepreneurs as well, So you're going to be learning a lot around marketing and advertising and that sort of thing, as well as companies that are able to provide those services to you for a very affordable and nominal fee. Then we're going to have episodes around investing, how to build up your investment portfolio, starting with just $50, because you shouldn't have to start with, 500 or 1,000 or $3,000. I bought a course last year, and I remember being almost immediately dejected because the course producer starts off by saying, so the first question we get a lot of is, how much should I invest? So it's a cryptocurrency course. And he says, I would say that you should start off with a minimum of $3,000. And I looked at this and I went, okay, now Michaela and myself are from South Africa. So $3,000 is 50,000 rands, which is about just under 6 months' salary for most people in South Africa. Now, overseas, I know that that's not the same amount. I know $3,000 is maybe sort of just over a month's salary, maybe 2 months' salary, that sort of thing um, for low to middle income households. But that's still a lot of money, right? And that can be daunting because what happens if you lose that? And only when I kind of started finishing the course and I realized that that was just his perception and that actually you could start with a lot less. So that is one of the other things around this podcast is we're going to look at how we can all start with very, very little. And I'm going to be training Michaela in off the podcast and on the podcast in different things. I'm going to be sharing live what my results have been on a weekly basis as well, so that people can actually see both the positive and the negative that happens in investing, because that does occur, right? It's not all beautiful roses. It's just not. And then we're also going to be talking a lot around mindset, because wealth is not just having a lot of money coming in. It's also the right mindset, which brings me to Michaela's question. So Michaela asked me earlier, should I go out and rent an apartment now? And my response was, you can do, absolutely, but I would not recommend it for the next 6 months. And I said, so I'll explain later. And we had this conversation just before the podcast, but if it's all right with you, Michaela, I'm going to share my response with the crowd as well. Because basically thank you so much. So what I said was, this is kind of not your first job, but this is your first, let's say, stable position, right? I want to have everyone who works for the itinerant mage to have that wealthy mindset where we're not just throwing money at things. We're actually learning to build, not even build empires for ourselves. Because I've made that mistake. When I was younger, I went from making, I think I was making $500 a month. Yeah, I was making $500 a month. I went from that to making $1,000 a week. And that happened overnight.
Wow.
I have absolutely nothing to show for that today. Nothing. Because as fast as it came in, I spent it.
Yeah.
Now, I know now what the psychology behind that is, which is also something that I was explaining earlier. The psychology behind that is the fact that the human mind cannot easily handle 10% shift, either positive or negative. It just can't, right? So anything over those amounts and stress sets in.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to say that stress isn't manageable. It is, of course. But if you're not ready for it, especially if it's positive stress, right? So in the case of having a massive raise or something like that, if you're not prepared for it mentally and you don't have that wealthy mindset, you're going to find places to put that money, right? Because you want to get rid, because now it's stressful. It's in your space and you're not used to having this. What do I do with all this extra cash, right?
Yeah.
We're going to look at the mentality that goes with treating money as a good friend and servant, as opposed to it being this scary thing that comes into your life. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, well, I'm not scared of money. I challenge you to realize that we all actually, not we all, a lot of us really are scared of money. Because if we
Yeah.
weren't, we'd all be multi millionaires already. The reason we're scared of money is because success is a much bigger driver of fear than failure is. Failure is easy. We do it all the time. We fail at things 24/7. I tried to make poached eggs the other on today Thursday on Tuesday, first time in my life. It was an unmitigated disaster, if I do say so myself. Tasted okay, but really looked horrendous. I looked at it and went, okay, well, cool. I've learned from this, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Tried it again yesterday. Came out absolutely beautifully. Now there is room for improvement, but I ain't gonna go learn to make perfect poached eggs because I'm not trying to open a restaurant. Okay, it's just not happening. That's a
Right.
success that I choose to not have. Let's put it that way. um, but yeah, coming back to the whole money thing, our minds around success really do drive us to get rid of it as quickly as possible. And one of the things that I often say to my clients who ask me about, trying to improve their standing in life, trying to get themselves from where they are to a better place. And my answer always is you are scared of succeeding because a part of you knows that if you do, so perfect example. One of my clients says to me she makes $2,500 a month, right? She wants to start her own business and she foresees it hitting at least $100,000 in revenue per month within year two. I say,
Wow.
great, why don't you do it? And she comes up with the silliest excuses as to why she's not going to do it. She doesn't have enough money to start, to which I replied, that's absolute nonsense. There's more than enough money floating around for you to start your business. And there are ways for you to start it without even dropping a penny, which, by the way, is something else we're going to be discussing in these podcasts, how to start a business with little to no money down, using free tools, free software, and free training just to be able to get yourself off the ground. When we broke it down, I said, so the real reason that you are not doing this and don't want to do this is because a very real part of you recognizes that when you start making that kind of money, your friend circle is going to change. Family
Mm.
barbecues are not going to be the same anymore because you have little to nothing in common with the people around you. They're still talking about their day to day grind. You're living your dream. I'm not saying that they're boring now, but there's little in common, right?
Yeah.
And
And
that is
also
always,
people's
yeah, please
perception of
continue.
you changes so much.
Oh, sorry, you dropped off there, Michaela. Could you repeat that?
No, I just said it also changes people's perception of you. So I've noticed that people that are maybe earning less sort of outcast the person that's earning more, is more successful because, you know, I'm sure there are many reasons as to why that happens. But yeah, I think that also is one of the reasons why that changes so much, especially in friendships and in family dynamics.
Absolutely. That's exactly what happens. People for sure do look at you differently because now they assume that you're going to have your nose in the sky when it's
Mm,
not that. It's literally just you're having different experiences, right? So because you're making more money, you can afford to go to more expensive restaurants. You can afford to go and travel. You can afford to buy nice clothing. It doesn't make you a snob. It doesn't make you an evil person. It's just a different experience. And I want to,
100%.
that's something that I really want to drum into people here on the Wealthy Mindset podcast. Different experiences doesn't negate anybody else's experience.
Mm,
There's nothing better than having a specific experience than another one. It's your choice which one you choose to have at the end of the day, which is also very empowering to say. Recognizing that literally the experience you have in this life is completely your choice. Now, the last thing that I wanted to, oh gosh, actually, I think I've gone blank. There was something else I wanted to discuss today, and I've gone blank on what it was. Um, we spoke about that. Oh, yes, now I remember. Okay. The last thing I do want to talk about today, which I think is going to be hugely helpful, is again part of the mindset. It's quite impossible for you to do a good job if you are stressed out.
Mm,
If you are, so the first thing that you have to look at is literally think of the human existence as a pyramid, right? Or a three stack tier. Your base is the physical. If your physical is out of whack, your mental and emotional slash soul side are going to be completely out of whack. It's just how it
mm,
works. If physically you are not feeling your best, you cannot turn out good work. So if physically you are stressed, you need to sort that out first before you can get back to work. It actually is imperative that you do that before you do anything else. Now again, because of the brainwashing that we have where it's good to push through pain when things are uncomfortable, when things are this, when things are that, right? And again, I'm
yeah,
not saying that you shouldn't stay the course and keep things going. But if you're having a splitting headache, for instance, right? Figure out where that's coming from. Is it tension? Is it that I need more water? What are the things I can do to make this go away so that I'm less grumpy, so that I'm able to do my work better?
yeah,
If it's tension, where's that tension coming from? What stress is causing that? Is it something I ate? Is it not enough water? Is it something in my life that needs to shift and change? If it's something in my life that needs to shift and change, what can I do to do that? How can I
yeah,
shift my perception of it or shift the situation to one that is less stressful so that my body is able to be in a state of not bliss, but certainly one of health? Sorry, Mikhail, I feel like you wanted to say something.
um, yeah. I was just gonna say that what you said about pushing through stress. I can't count the amount of times where I've told someone like, it's very stressful at the moment for whatever reasons, and it's almost like they see the stress as a good thing, as if something's, going right or working and you're working hard and you have to push through it, and that's what makes it worthwhile. And I just always thought like, you know, when I get to a point where I'm super stressed out, I just shut down and I just go, I give up. Like if I get to a point like where my stress levels are that bad, I will literally just say, this isn't worth it. And I'd rather just be able to de-stress and deal with the consequences, versus someone who's like, okay, well, this is my motivation of I've got to get through this and this is what's going to make the successful ending worthwhile.
It honestly does scare me that so many people have that outlook on stress and how it affects us. Where I think in the East, okay, not the Far East, but sort of India and I think parts of Korea and a little bit of China as well, they take a more holistic and balanced view of stress. So some stress can be good, right? Some stress is good. It's a sign that you're on the right track. So for instance, if there's something that you don't want to do, but that you also do, sorry, something that you want to do, but you feel uncomfortable doing it, it's out of your comfort zone, that's a
Yeah.
good stress because that
Yeah.
forces growth, right? That is a good stress. Something that's like, oh, I want to learn investing, right, in the stock market. That's daunting. That's stressful because you might not know anything about it, right? But that's a good kind of stress. Again, stress that forces growth is good. The kind of stress that is debilitating, that is literally, I don't want to do this and it is hurting me, is bad stress. And where the world has gone awry is in Eastern philosophy. I can't remember the exact term for it. It's a beautiful word, but basically it means to go with the flow. And the image that where this word comes from is there's this river in India that is very it's almost like whitewater rapids, right? And I
Mhm.
heard this from Vishen Lakiani, who is the He's the head of Mind Valley, for those of you who don't know, and he's written quite a number of really awesome books. And in this one book, he was talking about this, and he says, you know, you'll see these Indian men on these tiny little rafts. And I'm not talking like a raft you can sit. I'm talking about a wooden raft that's just lashed together with rope. That's it. And they've got a stick. And he's like,
Yeah.
and this river's not narrow either. It's quite wide and it's really choppy. He's like, and yet they somehow are able to like hop on their little raft, push off, and almost like in a straight line without even toppling slightly, make it to the other side in no time at all. And so eventually he went and asked them, he's like, how do you guys do this? And they said, well, what we do is we use the current to actually get us from A to B, but we use the adversity to know where we're not supposed to be and use it to push us into the easier channels so that we can make it across. So it looks easy, but we're actually very adept at feeling where we're getting resistance and where we're not.
Yeah.
So I think that that is actually a perfect way to kind of wrap up our podcast today. I challenge everybody to really look at where in your life you're feeling resistance and where you're not, and start to ask yourself that on a daily and then almost an hourly basis until it becomes so natural for you that you're able to really feel in yourself, this is not something I'm supposed to be doing. I'd much rather be doing that. And if you get any anxiety around it, around things like, how am I going to make money doing this? Ask. Literally just ask. Say it out loud into the universe. You'll be surprised how quickly someone will come to you and go, I saw this amazing thing on my Instagram the other day where they, I don't know, what's the thing that I never thought would make money? Makeup tutorials. Never in a million years when I was a child, if someone had said to me, people are going to be making millions upon millions of dollars doing makeup tutorials on social media, I would have laughed and be like, no. What? No.
Exactly.
Unwrapping of gifts. Really?
Incredible.
Unboxing videos, people get paid millions of dollars every year to open packages from other people. So if you literally just ask, I can guarantee you there's a way to monetize whatever your passion is, and anything around your business that you don't enjoy doing. I can guarantee you that in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities, you're going to find someone who loves to do the things that you hate to do. I'm going
Exactly.
to ask if you have any questions for me, Michaela.
Hmm. I think my brain's still also just processing everything that you said and how true it is. And almost as you're saying things, I'm relating it to not only my work for you, but just my life in general and how it can be applied to every little thing, especially about the resistance. There's like personal stuff that I feel like I needed to hear that today specifically, where I felt like I needed to make a decision about something and being able to feel the resistance and take it from there, along with all the other factors, is just such amazing. It's such an amazing tool to use in everyday life, like you said, hourly, daily, in everything. So I don't think I have any questions, but that just hit
Cool.
home, and I think everybody will be able to use that and benefit from it immensely.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited. I'm excited for next week's podcast as well because next week we add, I think, two more to the roster. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think we add two. We add two more to the roster next week. One is going to be on oh, polarity of sexuality, which I
Yep.
think everyone's going to really enjoy. And then we're also adding the whole package, which is more going to be around wellness and physical exercise, and just again in everything, having fun with it. We should be growing mentally, sexually, physically, career-wise, financially. Let's just use this, to the fullest and have metric shit tons of fun with it as well. On that
100%.
note, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. To our audience, wherever you are in the world, if you're catching the replay, etc., etc., Please do remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Oh, one thing I almost forgot to ask. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us or comment on the video itself with your question. Starting next week, we are going to have a segment at the end of each podcast where we actually use 15 minutes just to answer someone's question. So, in this particular podcast, anything around business or career or financial, please feel free to ask, and we will take 15 minutes to try and answer that question to the best of our ability because we want to help people to grow into their best selves. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful week further and a great weekend. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye now.
Bye.